Thank you.
Turn your mic on, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister, the context of your presentation in relation to the JPS situation is that the license expires, I think it's July 2027. Notice has been given, triggering the consequences of license termination. Jamaica has roughly 20% of the equity in JPS. Funding gap, based on the more recently done work to do the restoration of the grid, including substations, transmission, posts, etc., distribution lines, is around 350 million US. So our 20%, if you're looking at it as a shareholder, our 20% would be 70 million. But we are actually taking the risk of lending an unsecured loan to JPS of 150 million, which is twice the proportion of the equity that we hold in the business. So unsecured, you don't have any collateral to seize. You're relying on a mechanism to get it back, which I'm going to speak to in a second. So my question to you is, first of all, the other 200 million, which is currently not funded, but which is necessary to achieve the timelines that you have indicated for restoration, what assurance that 200 million will be raised on a timely basis so as to enable the necessary expenditures to be made by JPS to hit the targets, which are presumably fairly aggressive targets, given the extent of the damage to the grid and so on? What level of confidence do you have that 200 million will be raised by them? Sure. And what is the time frame that it has to be raised by for that target to be met? I'd like to know the time frame for that. Secondly, would we be disbursing our 150 before that 200 million is in place? Are we going to take the risk of lending that money to JPS, funded out of the consolidated fund you've said? I was going to ask you how it's going to be funded. So roughly the same amount of cap bond drawn, we're told. This 150, which Jamaica has been seeing as being critical to the housing, shelter, the school fixing up, the health centers and hospitals, etc. JPS is now going to get the benefit of that money. I want to know whether we're going to take that risk and disburse those funds to JPS until the damage fund is fully funded. As it stands now, all you've told us is you've left it up to them and they're to come back to you. That, I think, is a risk we're not prepared to take as a country. I want to know which GOJ entity is going to carry the loan. So is it DBJ? You know, which entity is going to be the lender of record? Because part of what you've said is a mechanism that assures repayment, you've said, is that if at the end of July 2027, there's no renewal of the license because you can't agree terms, and you're acquiring the assets of JPS, you're saying that 150 would be a set-off, essentially. That's what I read you to be saying, that you would recover the 150, it would go in reduction of what you would have to pay them to acquire the assets. So for set-off requires mutuality, meaning that the person who owes you is the same person you owe. So I want to know which entity within the government is going to carry that loan to the JPS. You've said the interest rate is not yet settled, and the Ministry of Finance is going to deal with that hopefully tomorrow. I'm hoping that we will get a report on what that is, because this is coming out of the nation's available liquidity, and when there are a whole lot of needs to be met. So I think it's necessary for us to do what is necessary to get JPS up and running as quickly as possible. But I have to do it very prudently and sensibly so that we don't unnecessarily expose taxpayers to loss. So I would like your assurance, Minister, that that 200 million will be coughed up by JPS, perhaps by its two large overseas shareholders, Marubeni and East West Power, Korean government, South Korean government-owned large utility. Or JPS is going to draw down on whatever funding it can raise from its creditors. I don't know how they plan to fund it, but we need to know it's funded before we put our 150 in. That's the last question I have, because I'm asking questions, is in all of this that we're discussing now, to get things back up and running as quickly as possible, which is the main imperative we're all aligned around. We've also had talk over the last year or so since Beryl about building resilience into our distribution and transmission systems for electricity. And there's been talk about putting wiring underground, and that the cost of that is very high. And in fact, the CEO of JPS has said it'd be prohibitive. But what I want to know is what practical steps are being taken to build resilience into the grid now for those sections which have to be rebuilt. And is that a consideration at all? And if it is, what are the things that you intend to do to make sure that the grid is more resilient to withstand weather events, maybe not as drastic as Melissa, but weather events that we know sooner or later, hopefully much later, we're going to have to endure again. So that's my third question. So I'll summarize. One is the timeline for JP fund the 200 million gap, and whether you would ensure that that funding is in place before you expose our $150 million. Which GOJ entity is going to carry the loan, the $150 million loan that will be made to JPS? And what, if anything, is being done to build greater resilience into the grid in those areas where the grid is being substantially rebuilt? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me indicate very clearly for all of Jamaica to hear. The meeting that we had yesterday morning, where the Minister of Finance and the Financial Secretary was there, we ironed out a way forward, realizing the seriousness and the time-sensitive nature of this response. So first answer to your question is that this government is prepared on behalf of the people of Jamaica to release the $150 million in whatever tranches are required as quickly as possible to get the restoration going. And that's the difference between a caring government and somebody who has a financial background. The people want light. Okay? So let me just make that clear.
Point of order, Minister.
Point of order.
Minister, point of order.
His feet, talking. The minister standing on his feet, talking into the mic. You don't need to personalize your response. You don't need to get hot under the collar. It's a legitimate question I'm asking. And I'm just, so don't bother talking about having a financial background. I want to know a simple question. Are you going to ensure funding is in place? And now you're coming back and personalizing it in a totally unnecessary way.
Let me repeat. Let me repeat. The member is saying that his position is that he would not release the $150 million unless he knew where the $200 million was coming from. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said. Hansard is there. Hansard is there. Hansard is here. Hansard is here. And I am
Minister, Minister,
I am telling you.
Minister, please, please. For those members who do not have the floor, please allow the minister to answer the question.
So,
You may continue, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me just say it again. Based on the meeting that took place yesterday, we are confident, based on the meeting that had the representative of the Ministry of Finance at the highest level, the Minister and the Financial Secretary, you can't go any higher, that we are prepared to release the $150 billion tonight if it means that the people are going to get back light sooner than later. Mr. Speaker, 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 Mr. Speaker,
Members,
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
members, all Minister. Members,
you are a wicked and a wicked and evil. Bad mind don't go on yet from September 3rd.
members,
Wicked and evil. Mr. Speaker,
I am-
Mr. Speaker.
Minister, all. Members, members from the opposition side,
You are an uncaring set.
if
You
you
are a
do,
heartless set.
if
you are
you
wicked
do
set.
not allow the minister to continue, then we will have to go to something else. Please, you do not have the floor. Member from St. Catherine North Central, you do not have the floor.
Mr. Speaker,
You will find out in short.
Mr. Speaker,
Go ahead, Minister.
the $150 million
Give me
that the
chance.
government is prepared to release as soon as the documentation is in place, which will be no later than a matter of hours to a day, because of the urgency, is specific for restoration over 2 months, December and January. That $150 billion is ring-fenced to deal with a restoration program that will take care of Jamaica, not only some parishes. And if you are going to tell me that there are people in this house that would question a government in a crisis like this to hold $150 million that we have availability now, to find out about $200 million, which can take another month or 6 weeks. Our money is secured whichever way it goes. We are a responsible government, and we have taken responsible decision, a clear decision, an argument done. So when you're asking the question, I wouldn't bother start with them here. So, Mr. Speaker, the position is, this matter is fluid. This is a cabinet decision that was taken yesterday. We are going to wait until we have the final agreement between the Ministry of Finance and the JPS. And whenever that happens, we will make it public in Parliament to show the people of Jamaica what the final terms and conditions are. But for somebody to stand up in Parliament, knowing what is taking place out there, and is prepared to take a position to delay restoration, they will be judged by the people of this country.
Minister, I want you to remain focused and answer the questions that are posed to you, please. Member from St. Andrews South Eastern, you have the floor.
Minister, the JPS has said that they estimate that the damage is $350 million. You're providing $150 million. Are you comfortable that the $150 million that the government is going to loan can provide the full restoration for all the parishes in the time frame that you have indicated? Right? By end of, hold on. Right? My second question, and I will ask you to ask your colleague who is sitting beside you. When will the Parliament get a statement from the Minister of Finance which outlines all the monies that we have gotten from the insurances, the monies that we are negotiating with our multilateral agencies, IMF, World Bank, IDB. We know that we have an estimate of US $8 billion. It is anticipated we can probably raise 1 billion US. Where is that shortfall going to come from? What are those funds going to be used for? We are 4 weeks after the hurricane, and the Minister of Finance is yet to come to the Parliament and tell us how much money we have, how the funds are going to be used. And every other minister can speak, can say many things, but if the Ministry of Finance cannot speak, right? So my question, Minister, do you believe 150 can cover the full restoration in the term?
Question at a time.
Make him answer. Make him answer.
One question.
Turn it on.
Yes.
Minister, Minister, I'm going to ask you, are you willing to have all questions posed at once and then you answer, or are you going to take them one at a time? No, you have to tell me no, because I'm going to rule. One at a time. Are you going to answer the member from St. Andrew Eastern, sorry?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I only have to answer one question out of two, and that's a question that relates to the JPS negotiation. And he asked me, I'm confident that the 150 can do what it is said to do in the 2 months, and the answer is yes. Secondly, he asked about whether or not I'm confident of the additional money, and I will make a statement here to say we will work with JPS in whichever way, shape, or form that is required, if it means that we are to benefit the people of Jamaica in the shortest possible time.